Into the front court come the Red Raiders. Shannon, 10 seconds to play. Guarded by Tate. Smith comes out on the switch. 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Gets to the basket. Layup, no good. Rebound, Note. That's the ball game. Hogs are going to the Sweet 16. Hogs are going to the Sweet 16. First time in 25 years, Arkansas is headed to the Sweet 16.
This is Chuck Barrett, the voice of the Razorbacks, and you're listening to the Morning Rush.
And what a call Chuck had following the Texas Tech win, 68-66 over the Red Raiders. Got a chance to see him after the game, passed by and said, it's all about survive and advance, man. And he replied, survive and advance. Chuck, we appreciate your time this morning, man. How's Indianapolis treating you down there for about a week and a half?
Yeah, we've been here a little while. Going to be here a little while longer, and it seems like every 4 or 5 days now we just go down and roll over that hotel reservation and planning on doing that for another couple of weeks.
Did you take enough quarters for the hotel laundromat? How are we getting laundry done while we're in Indy?
You know, I will tell you, I made my first trip to the hotel laundry yesterday. And
when's the last time you did that?
Did you know it cost $2 to dry your clothes? Did you know that?
Well, they
I
got
had no
you.
idea.
What are you going to do? You washed them. Now you're not going to dry them? What are you going to do now? They got you.
It's $2 to wash and $2 to dry.
Yeah, expensive. That's what Ty would say.
They're making a killing.
Yeah, just expensive. Yeah, that's what Ty would say.
I got to expense all my charges this weekend, Chuck.
Well, good for you. That's great.
Well, apparently too many of them were at some Wild Beaver Saloon or something. He had 14 receipts from a bar. Unbelievable. So,
well, you got to go to those bars that when they put it on your credit card, they put something other than bar on there. It's got to be like something ink where it looks like you've. It's a legitimate business experience.
It sounds like this also comes from personal experience, Chuck.
Well, I'm an old hand. I've been around a while.
Hey, describe the scene in Indy. I mean, we'll get to the game and the Sweet 16, but I was reading, and I think you're there and see these hotels where the teams are staying and where Arkansas is staying and the other teams that are still there and the teams that have been there. It's kind of a surreal scene how they're going about securing these teams. We've heard Musk called in earlier. We've heard him on various shows talking about, they get an hour outside a day. It is a different kind of deal than we've ever seen before for this postseason event with the way the teams are being handled in Indianapolis.
I've never seen anything like it. I have never seen anything like what they've done to secure this as best they can. When you walk by a team hotel, there's crime tape all around the entire perimeter of the hotel. It's like something really bad happened in there. There are cops everywhere. There are railings all the way out to the street. Yellow cones in the first lane once you get to the street. Now, since they've reduced it to 16 teams, what they've done is, in fact, Arkansas moved out of their hotel. My understanding is they moved them into one hotel. All the teams, it's one of these 24. There's a lot of them down here. And each team has a floor. And my understanding is they've got them all in one hotel now, because I know one of the hotels next to us that was, there was one of those crime scene hotels. I noticed last night it's opened up. And there were, regular customers and such in there last night. But it's really strange the way they've done it. And I will tell you, they're going to make sure this tournament gets finished. They are going to make certain it gets finished.
At what point in this process, because I know the Razorback team left, Tuesday before the SEC tournament began, so that's 2 weeks from yesterday. They've been on the road. Now then they bus straight to Indy. You're talking about some teams are likely going to be on the road for a month. At some point, all these restrictions and protocols are going to get too much for some of these players, right? I would think enough's enough at some point.
Well, I think that's probably something that's weighing on people's minds right now, to be perfectly honest with you. It is a situation where, you're putting a lot of restrictions on young people. Basically you're asking them not to be young people during a time where, there's a lot of celebration. It should be the greatest experience of their lives. And it still is. but I know it's not quite what they want it to be. I'll give you an example. Out of my hotel room right now, I can look down on the infield of the AAA team's ballpark here. Very nice ballpark. I kept noticing all these people out there running, and I thought, well, the city just must open that park up and let people come in there and run laps in the morning. And this was the first or second day, and I found out that those are coaches. Those are team personnel from sequestered hotels. They allow them to come out to the baseball park, and basically the coaches and their wives, what it boils down to is they take walks around the baseball, the infield and the outfield. The coaches run the outfields. Those are all sequestered people, and it's just been really strange. It's just been really strange. And the good part is the teams that remain are really, really happy to be here still. And so you kind of put up with all the other stuff. I do think that particularly the first weekend, in some cases you find out who really wants to be here and who doesn't, because there's an incredible sacrifice to get here, but there's an incredible sacrifice once you get here. I don't know that everybody really understood that part.
Chuck Barrett with us here on the Morning Rush. Now, Chuck, one of the events that was either yesterday or this Friday is the opportunity for media members to go around on the Indianapolis 500 with the driver. Are you going? Did you participate in that, or are you going to participate in that?
I had some media obligations yesterday afternoon, and I was not able to go. Now, Zimmerman went, and I got the full report. Basically, what they got to do was drive around the track in Tahoes at about 90 miles an hour. I think is what it boils down to, which was still, I'm certain, really cool. Mm-hmm. And I think they had a bunch of Tahoes out there, and they let them get in and drive, and I'm sure it was quite a deal. But I was not able to take part in that yesterday. Yeah. I had stuff I had to do and just couldn't make it.
What's the feeling like in this state? I know you're in Indianapolis, but you had a lot of feedback. When you compare where Arkansas is at today versus the last 25 years and the mid-'90s, this program's been through a lot of ups and downs over the last quarter century. In '96, I bet no one would have believed it would have taken this long to get back to a Sweet 16, much less a Final Four or anything of that nature that could still be in play. I would just like your perspective on kind of this state truly coming alive for basketball this year, in the strangest year any of us have ever seen in a COVID year, because this state at its core loves its basketball team.
Well, the Razorbacks are the tie that bind us all together, and there's not anything in Arkansas that does that like the Razorbacks. When the Razorbacks are playing well, in football, basketball particularly, other sports too, but those two particularly, there's a mood elevation from border to border, and I know it's that way right now. I know people are talking about it first thing when they get up and last thing before they go to bed, and all the day in between. And this is such a great basketball state. The one thing that's different now is social media. The fans don't have the personal interaction with this team. I mean, there's no mob in the hotel lobby when you come back from a game like there was back then, but fans are able to communicate with one another. People are able to post pictures. People are able to share their excitement with their friends, and I wish the whole state could be here, and I know they would be, or at least they'd try to be if it was a normal year. But everybody up here knows, I promise you, everybody up here knows exactly what people are feeling and saying in Arkansas, because we hear from them all day long, and that's a lot of fun.
Chuck, when you talk about just the experiences these players are going to go through, unfortunately not getting the full interaction with fans, their families, and that to me that justifies whoever wins the national championship even more. And I know there's been a lot of upsets this year, but they've had to go through more of a strenuous time than any other college basketball program, arguably, in the history of the sport. Does that make this championship in 2021 greater than maybe anyone that we've seen in years past?
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I think it's going to be a special championship. I mean, you're going to know that you persevered through a lot of different things. I think it's a double-edged sword. I think for some teams, and I think Muss has been able to do this, and some other coaches have too, the flip side to not having normalcy is the fact that you are with your team, and there is a bond and a togetherness there, and an us against the world mentality that you don't even have to manufacture. I mean, it's just there. And so I think some teams have actually benefited from a mental standpoint, from a togetherness and chemistry standpoint. I think the teams that maybe weren't as good, that had some fractures to begin with, they probably fractured even more. But the good coaches, and I've seen this over the years, particularly in baseball where you travel for extended periods, the good coaches can take a team, they can get them sequestered in a hotel, and sometimes it's of your own doing. This time, obviously, it's due to policy. But you get them in there, and I mean, that's where the magic happens. That's where the chemistry happens. That's where sometimes that's where ball games are won and lost. And I think Muss has done a really good job of that. He's made the best of the situation. You can't change it. And so I think that, you know, that's there's a knack to doing that. That's part of being a leader. I think that evidently, I mean, the evidence shows that he's done a good job with that.
Let's talk about the game that's coming up on Saturday evening. Arkansas and Oral Roberts, two teams that have played each other earlier in the year. Now, obviously, this one's not going to be on Arkansas's home floor. They got a great scorer on this team, Chuck, that Arkansas is going to have to count for defensively. But that's been Arkansas's strength, is when Muss has had several days to get ready for a team, he's figured out the crack and the way to go about it. How do you see this game playing out? Because it's been so much about defense to this point.
Well, I think it's going to be about defense again, and I think that's the mentality. I think this will be a little more of an up and down game, but I still think it's you're going to have to get back on defense. You're going to have to play defense in transition. It'll be a different type game than Texas Tech. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I remember the matchup inside between Smith and O'Banner. Both had double-doubles, and I think, you know, you'll just see a war in there between those two guys. Arkansas did a really good job on Osmus, their scorer. I think he only had 11 in that game. But, you know, that was the first game Arkansas trailed at halftime this year and came back and won. You know, guys, that in all four of Muss's NCAA tournament wins, and that includes the ones at Nevada, they've trailed by 10 points or more in all those games. And so, you know, that ORU game was kind of like that. And so, you know, they had a great run, and then Arkansas went on a great run in the second half. So I think it's going to be a good game. Hey, ORU's, it doesn't matter that they're a 15 seed. It doesn't matter that Arkansas beat them earlier in the season. Both teams are different. I mean, Jalen Williams didn't even play, and you know, Debo only played about 8 minutes. So we're different and they're different, and you know, nothing that happened before Saturday is going to matter once they start playing.
So, Chuck, for the fans that are making their way to Indianapolis for the Sweet 16 game and hopefully the Elite 8 game this weekend, you've been there, you've got to feel the town. Where should fans go eat? Is there a particular restaurant or two that have stood out to you?
Well, it depends on who's buying, guys. That's the story. I've eaten really well here on 3 nights, but I didn't pick up any of those tabs. So there's some great steakhouses down there. St. Elmo's is like the most famous steakhouse in Indianapolis, and they've got a shrimp cocktail there that's world famous, and it's pretty good.
Ty brought me back a bottle of the very spicy cocktail sauce. I asked him to bring this back because I've heard about it, and let me tell you, it will ignite your sinuses, as you found out.
Well, I don't have any nasal hair left, just for the record. after that, but it was good. This is a basketball state to the core. I've never been to a place where basketball is a way of life the way it is in Indiana. There is basketball as Alabama is football, and they love it, and it's in their blood, and they are. You can tell they're really happy to have everybody in this city.
Chuck, before we let you go, Eric Musselman joins us this morning right at the top of the show, and we agreed that if we get enough social media going, that if Arkansas made the Final Four, he could shave my head. Now, I'm a little worried because Because Tommy and Clay told me you shaved your head after the '94 championship and the hair never grew back. Should I be worried? Should I be worried about losing my hair?
Now don't spoil. Make him believe that's the truth.
On that. Here's the truth on that. My hair just began to fall out naturally about that period of time. The true story is Mike Nail, Corliss Williamson, and Scotty Thurman shaved Mike Nail's head in 1994. Mike told them that they could do that if they wanted, and they did. Mike came to Florida right after the championship game later that week for a baseball series to do with me. We went out to have a drink, and a couple of girls asked me if Mike was a cop because he had his head shaved, and he kind of had that look about him. So the true story is that Scotty and Corliss shaved Mike Nail's head. My hair just fell out.
Okay.
I was trying to convince him it may not grow back if he shaves it.
I'm scared, Chuck.
If he shaves it all.
I'm scared, man.
Hey, you got a lot of hair, Ty. I mean, you're a young man. You got that mane working. You need a haircut anyway. So maybe when they get to the Final Four, you'll get a good one.
Sometimes you need to clean the slate and start over. That's what we're rooting for here.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to start over, young fella.
I guess. Well, Chuck, buddy, have fun in Indianapolis these next couple days. I'll see you on Saturday in Bankers Life Fieldhouse, and we'll see what happens against Oral Roberts, man.
Hey, we should enjoy every second of this because we found out the hard way. You think you're going to be here every year, and it just never works out quite like that. So I hope everyone enjoys this to the hilt because this is a special time.
Yep, sure is. All right, we'll send a roll of quarters up with Ty so you can get all that laundry done.
All right, good deal. If we win this weekend, if we go to the Final Four, I'm going to have to do a little more laundry before I come back.
All right, we're rooting for it. All right, we'll do it next week if you're still there.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
hey, buddy.
Chuck Barrett with us live from what they call it, the Circle City.